Twitch, International Master William Pascal. It's my Thursday game analysis, primarily for the subscribers. In-depth game analysis / subscriber stream. I just had my coffee. Finished coffee already. Trying to start a little earlier. Finished my coffee by 6 p.m. so I can sleep at night. The doctors claim even earlier, but that's the best I can do. I gotta stay awake. When you're working as a chess teacher into the evening, gotta find a way to stay awake. Welcome everyone, International Master William Pascal, aka Sladgie on Twitch. We are hosting the stream and taking these games that we've got for today. Welcome Mr. Coffee, Bijak, Asterbait. So the Thursday list is pretty well filled up. Mr. Slowhand, Boogie Knight, Asterbait, GC New, Princess Chess, Warnaki, Abadis, Antoni, and Sumahair. So that's it. You're the last one. Because Neil Young rocks. That's why. Neil Young is awesome. Good choice. Asterbait, if you're going to have like a song stuck in your head, you could definitely do worse than Neil Young. Well, alright. Let's get started. We've got the first game from Mr. Slow. Guys, please support the stream and subscribe if you can. We had support this week. No gift subs, but we did get some donations from Asterbait, Zen Chess, and Mr. Slowhand. Would appreciate your support going forward. 1 a.m. the last. I am the last. No. Yeah, you're the last. The last. Alright, you heard that first here. We read from back to front. Mr. Slow doesn't seem to be here. Yeah. We got... Maybe wait for Mr. Slow. There was last simul video. I usually upload all the videos. If I missed one and somebody wants to watch it, let me know. It's possible I might occasionally forget to upload a video. Is that what you're saying? Should be in there. You're here, Mr. Slowhand. If you guys notice that one of my uploads didn't upload or I forgot, just feel free to remind me. I try to upload everything to the YouTube channel, Video Chess Training on YouTube. Thanks, Moobot. Thanks, Mr. Coffee. Alright, so we will start with Mr. Slowhand first. He's first on the list. Alright. Please tell your friends who like chess about my YouTube channel. I am ready to get started. Mr. Slow. We'll just search for people. Mr. Slow. Mr. Low IQ. Mrs. Low IQ. Mrs. Low IQ. That's somebody's name. Alright then. Sounds like a QAnon person in the House of Representatives. Mr. Slowhand. Let's go. There he is. Alright, we're supposed to look for your... Not for you, but look for your comments here. Alright, what do we got? Hi Sladgie, please analyze our last simul game on Thursday. Nice twist. If I had taken with the other knight on f2, probably have to train more tactics again. So this was a position where I was totally concerned. I might have let it spiral out of control. Yes, looks that way, Bijak. I would strongly suspect so. I didn't like the look of that game. But it's not your responsibility what other people do. Unless you're, the President of the United States inciting a insurrection. We can't all take responsibility for our friends. So I don't hold it against you if, don't feel like you're connected to any controversy because some friend of yours may have done something or not. I don't care. That doesn't shed a bad light on you. I just blocked that guy because I didn't like the look of the game. But I mean, again, I'm not sure. It looked very dubious to me. Alright, Mr. Slowhand's up first. So let's check this out. Mr. Slowhand just gifted a tier 1 sub to cathode ray Jepson. A long name to say. Unfortunately, you know, we can't all take responsibility for everything our friends do. So, yeah, I would suspect that's the case. Alright, let's go on. We're not going to focus on that. So this is the game, Sparkle Horse versus Mr. Slow. He had beaten me 3 games in a row. Cathode Ray said, thanks, man. Anyway, Skull. It's been a long day. Medicine. Medicinal purposes only. So this is a simul game I played against Mr. Slow from last week. Thank you from Jepson. And from me for us donating that sub gift. This is a game that was weird. I was white against, I don't know, it was Zen chess, so I didn't know who I was playing. But g3, d5, bishop g2, knight f6, knight f3, b6. Now, I was trying to guess who my opponents are, not knowing who they were. And Mr. Slow tends to play the King's Indian. That's probably one of his favorite openings. There are a number of people who played stuff like this against me, and Mr. Slow wasn't one of them, so I didn't ever suspect this was him. This is a highly unusual thing, what Black's doing here. I mean, d5, b6, and knight f6. But how bad can it be? You know, I mean, if you think about it, honestly, if I was Black, I would probably be a lot more, a lot less surprised by this. Like, if you were to play colors reversed, let's say flip the board, white plays d4, knight f6, knight f3. If I go to play the King's Indian and my opponent plays b3, Kramnik does that. You know, I mean, I don't think like this is... You see, there's a Kramnik game against Grishuk right away. I didn't even notice. But why is it that this seems so weird when it's like colors reversed? But yeah, with white, it's like perfectly acceptable. It's interesting. Did I just lose the board? I'll fix it. No, it's still working. Okay. So, I'm just commenting on the fact that that's interesting. You know, how our perspective is so different with colors reversed. I think, oh, wow, like b6 is crazy. You know, his bishop isn't on this diagonal yet, and he's weakening himself on the g2 or h1, a8 diagonal. That looks nuts. But the question is, how relevant is one tempo? Another idea I've been running into is people doing this. Mr. Sohan, a suggestion for you, if you like the idea of fianchetting your bishop, another line I've been running into a lot is the people who do like b5. Is there something wrong with b5 here? Keith Arkle used to call this the speckled hen. I mean, I don't see why Black can't do this. Surprising that there's no games. Maybe there's a problem with a4 now. Maybe this isn't any good because of knight d4. I guess there could be a technical problem here. Yeah. Getting the queen trapped is a bad thing. Maybe it doesn't work in that position. Cyprian Nanu from Romania actually did it against me with white. But again, the extra tempo makes a difference. I also had games with d4, b5. This is a known system. Very annoying. But anyway, we're off the beaten subject. The beaten track / I'm just thinking, how the heck can I open up this diagonal for white? So what do? c4. Now, I'm going to destroy your center, so this is a freaking good move. I mean, e6 makes sense. And what else can you do? So basically, he's playing a Kali system, Koltanowski, with colors reversed. Warnaki, greetings, welcome. This is a Koltanowski reversed, but how much would the extra tempo matter? I've had a really hard time getting anything against this. It's super annoying. But castles, I mean, maybe I could try something else. Queen a4 check. Does anybody have a suggestion here? Can we try to punish Black for being down a move? Man, I mean, it seems like white should have something with that extra tempo, but I just don't see it. You know, I don't know. So I keep drifting into the same type position. Castles. Now, not surprisingly, most people play bishop b7. I wouldn't want to leave that diagonal open. Mr. Slowhand doesn't care. Would you still play knight c3? I mean, knight c3 is white's best square for the knight. There's not a lot of good options. Believe me, I've played a lot of games with the reti. I can transpose back to a reti with b3. It's like totally harmless. Maybe you could play some funky move here like b4. Anybody want to try like b4? If you want to be really funky. But I don't know what it achieves, you know, it just like doesn't really do anything. b3 is a reti, d4 is a weird Catalan, castles is fine, bishop b7. What can we do? d4? I play b3. I mean, I know that d4 is a better move, but I have countless games. I have countless games in this position, and I've been unable to really generate an advantage. It's unbelievable. Like, look at the opening explorer. Look at the score, excellent for white, but look at the analysis engine. White is this crushing score, but according to the computer, it's like plus 0.1. It's really not that easy for white to get an advantage. So you would play knight c3. Knight c3 is a good move, but you're still going to have to play d4 if you play knight c3. So you might as well just play d4. You're going to have to play d4 if you play knight c3 to stop him from playing d4 eventually. b3 is passive. I transpose to the reti. And now, I played CD. I just kind of choose moves at random. This was a game I had with Bianca in a tournament in last February with Chessbia. I'm not sure about the move order was exactly the same, but I played, I think, e3 now. So this is the standard main line. Miro, what's up? You ever sleep? You're like Asterbate. Shouldn't you be sleeping right now? What time zone are you in? Did you sleep last night? E3 is the main move. There was this one guy from India, Mendonca, who just did like this against Galyash. Take, and c5. And it looks like this has been played by some strong players. You can even just like give up your pawn on d5 and play this structure. It's very, very solid for black. So I give up. Like, playing the reti is hopeless. Like, there's no way for white to get an advantage. It's unclear if there's a way for white to get an advantage in the Catalan. But there's definitely no way for white to get an advantage in the reti. I'm 100% sure. It's actually like, you gotta be careful not to be slightly worse. So, I tried to do something funky. I played this pawn takes pawn, and then knight takes. And then I was like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. This move is like depression sets in. So I was very sad when he played knight takes d5. I want to like saddle him with a weak pawn on d5 basically. I want him to take with the pawn. And that's the main move. It's more aggressive than taking with the knight. But at least here we have an imbalanced pawn structure where his bishop is kind of restricted. So I think here, you know, even here, like, white only has a minuscule advantage, but at least the pawn structure is such that white has chances to play for a win. Duck, welcome. Dr. Chipchance, welcome. Miro, welcome again. So this is disappointing. I mean, I should just play e3. I know that, but I, you know, want to mix it up sometimes. So that's why I exchanged here. Like, I didn't want to have this again. I've had this numerous times already. The take Mendoza. And it's like not easy for white to get an advantage. Keeping the pawn fluid, but whatever. Alright, so cd5, knight d5, and now I feel sick because I don't know what to do. If I don't play d4, black plays c5, and I have absolutely nothing. Like, I can be slightly worse, I guess, with d3. If you want to be slightly worse, play d3 and then c5. Alexander Kostyuk here played a5. Okay, that's experimental. But, I mean, normally, anyone who's been trained in the Botvinnik school would play c5. Black is like equal after that. So I tried d4, the only try, and now he plays c5 right away. And I just don't think I have an advantage here. Your favorite move? That was your favorite move. I forgot, Warnaki. Princess Chess, welcome. So how the heck can white have an advantage here? There goes this exchange of pawns. And now I'm guaranteed to have symmetrical pawn structure. I wanted to play e4. I'm like, what would Levon Aronian do here? Aronian. American pronunciation. Aronian. So during the stream, I even said, like, Aronian would love to play, like, e4 and then, like, d5. I wanted to do this so bad and sack a pawn, but I just don't see how it works. How can I do this? Is there some crazy way I can do this? The computer thinks it's playable. I was mostly concerned about taking. This is borderline mania. Probably I was most concerned about this. I didn't see any compensation. But the computer says that pawn takes. White is only slightly worse. Okay, forget about it. It doesn't work. Forget about it. But apparently this is a move. E5. I'm not impressed. So let's see who's played this. Iturizaga, Valerie Baim, Rodriguez Villa, and Hartonian. So apparently e5 gives us some kind of dynamic chances, it looks like. I would expect knight d5. Maybe white can play like a Catalan style attack. At least here we avoid some exchanges of pieces. See, d takes c5, bishop takes c5, a3. It's very, very much like a Catalan. White might have something. They love the central pawn push. Well, it's the only chance, you know, but I just didn't see how it works. So I thought for a long time. Check out my time. I used 11 minutes between these moves. And then I played this lame knight d2. I felt sick about knight d2. I realized it's entirely lame. But I didn't have a better move. I just didn't think I had a better move. So now we've got knight d7, perfect move. And what does white do? We're still in book, apparently. At one point, I made the conscious decision against Mr. Slow because I had lost 3 games in a row to him. I was very tempted to go nuts with this e4, d5 type of pawn sack, but I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to lose 4 times in a row. I'm just going to play solid against Mr. Slow, and if it's draw, it's a draw. I remember telling myself that, so I just decided to play this. And now we have rook c8, book move, and now we have what, knight c4? I don't know, but the Catalan's easy to play with white. You know, I always like it because you don't have to know theory. I don't know theory, but I got to this position, which is apparently standard. So Balagimre. Anyway, good Hungarian blitz player. James, welcome. So knight c4, now knight on 5 to f6. Which surprised me, but it's a very safe move. His knight will eventually get hit by these scary pawn sacrifices with e4 and d5, so this was solid, keeping control of e4. Black's equal. e3 looks weakening. I bet I played a novelty now. I played queen d2. I mean, I looked at this position and basically I didn't like taking. I didn't really want to trade the white squared bishops, weakening my king side. I didn't like e3 because it weakens my white squares, particularly this diagonal. Also, other squares, f3. That's the best move according to the computer. Played by Korchnoi in 1977. Hubner in 1979. So apparently that's the best move, but it looks a little creaky on this diagonal, so I played a new move now. Queen d2. And I'm not afraid of knight e4. Well, I thought I wasn't afraid of knight e4, because I can move my queen to one of these squares. I was thinking about e3. So that's basically my plan. You know, possibly queen f4, but it's more exposed on that square. Is it possible rook c1, rook c8 favors black? Yeah, well, I mean, try to find a move. Yeah, it's apparent that a3 is more common. Hikaru has a game. Hikaru likes to play b3. And number 4. Spielman versus the unbeatable Zoltan Ribley. But it's not clear, you know. I just don't think white has an advantage anyway. So this might be the best move. Just omitting it altogether. Maybe knight c4. I wonder if Balagimre or these guys would play queen e2 now. It seems like the best square for the white queen. So what happens after rook c8? Funny that no one played queen d2 now. Looks like a natural square. I guess this is a problem? b5. Yeah, I don't know, move 11. I don't know. Rook c1, it looks like a normal move. Rook c8. Knight c4. I was trying to be safe here. Novelty. And now he went here. And I was a little upset because basically I was thinking, okay, you know, this isn't a big deal. I can play queen e3. I thought his knight is vulnerable here, and he's vulnerable on the long diagonal to a pin. So I was actually happy when he played knight e4. But then he exchanged here, and I didn't know what to do. All 3 captures possible in this position. I suspect his move knight e4 was the real mistake. Knight takes d4. So I was happy. Then he plays this, and then I made the most natural move in the world, rook d1. And in the back of my mind, I started to see that this was like a fork. And I had this like very awkward feeling like when I went on to the next game. I remember seeing it at the last minute, which is typical, and being like, well, no, I mean, it can't possibly be good. I mean, he's facing threats on this diagonal. I mean, on the file. But it's unbelievable, like, it works. He plays it anyway. Now I freaked out. I'm like, oh, I'm going to lose again. I'm unable to calculate, really. So I play on feel, and then I overlook knight g4. And it's a miracle that it's not, like, winning for black. But, I mean, obviously this is dangerous. So he just ignored it. He didn't have to. The problem is, what's his alternative? Queen problem. Queen doesn't have a square. That's a very common situation in the Catalan. Maybe e8 is your only square. So he has to do this. And then it's like all hell is breaking loose. I thought I was lost. I have only one move, this, and then I have no idea what's going on. I mean, there's bishop g5. That doesn't work, probably, because I'd take his knight here. Obviously, knight takes f2. So apparently he took with the wrong knight on f2 now, according to the computer. But how do you calculate this in a fast game? He left himself with very little time. He was already down to 1 minute. I think it's almost more natural to take, like they say, toward the center, leaving his other knight, you know, in the center. I mean, this move looks strange because he's dropping his bishop on the long diagonal, right? But there's knight h3 check. Most likely, Mr. Slow didn't think further than that, you know. You just don't play knight takes f2 because you figure, oh, I'm dropping my bishop on b7, missing the knight h3 check. So this is apparently good for him, but why does it work in this position and not in the other position? So what if I do the same thing? The difference must be something with bishop takes g2. I mean, is the point that knight h3 can be a threat after bishop takes g2? Is that the point? Really? Like this? Now, both our queens, you know, could be hanging or whatever. I'm afraid to even click on the button. Now, apparently, like, this is still slightly better for white. It's like mind-boggling complications. Both sides don't have a lot of time here. So the engine says his best line is to give up the queen down here. There's no way I'm like finding this and then take this. And now everything's protected. My queen's attacked. So I have to pick a square, any square. Back here would probably be my initial reaction. I would think like I would probably play queen d2. But I guess queen d2 isn't good enough. He just takes my rook and then has bishop c5 check or what? Here, here, check. This looks very, very dangerous. I'm not feeling good about this. Guys, first game of analysis. Good evening from the Portugal champ. Are you the Portugal champ or I'm the champ? And you're just saying good evening from Portugal. Welcome. So, the complications were beyond me. I mean, there's no way I would have had a clue what's going on here. Apparently, like, I'm okay because of queen d4 threatening mate. I guess I would have seen that. And now e5. And queen d7, I suppose. I would be afraid of, like, rook d8 in this position. But I guess, like, in lines where he's playing rook takes d1 check, I might have bishop f1. Like, what happens here? I have check on e6. So, what's my best move? God, knight e5. There's no way I would have figured this out over the board without blundering. This is crazy. Knight e5, bishop c5, bishop d5 check, bishop d5, and at least my queen is safe. Check, king h8. This position I would lose 100% of the time. The engine says I have to play rook c1. I mean, forget about it. Bishop f6 after queen d4. My bishop is protected. That's interesting. I think it's important to note that you lose all those bishop c5. You know, that's your biggest thing, that bishop c5. When you lose that that bishop c5, you don't have those vicious threats anymore. Plus my bishop is ultimately protected, so no. So he takes the other way. And apparently, like, this is winning for me. But it's beyond me still. So I just closed my eyes and played knight takes e6. Not even having a clue what's happening now. I have this idea of queen here and queen e6 and queen g7 mate. So apparently he doesn't have enough coordination. And this again is the only idea. But I can just block it with e3 and I'm just winning. It's not enough for black. This is all winning. It's interesting, like, What was my only mistake? Rook FD1. Interesting. So instead of rook FD1, what was I supposed to play? Like rook CD1? My only mistake, according to the engine, was rook FD1. Was I supposed to move my other rook to D1 and let him play queen C7 or something? That seems counterintuitive. But, you know, it's like the Grunfeld. Weakening F7 is F2 in this position. I weakened my F2. I mean, I guess I could just play H3. This prophylactic move. I like H3 better. Stopping knight G4. Looks like black might be in trouble. I mean, he doesn't have knight D5. He doesn't have B5. He can play bishop C5, but then I can play rook D1. He doesn't have E5. I would think H3 is strong. H3 is plus 0.2 for white. But the best move is what? The CD one? Oh my god. Oh. That's amazing. I never saw this. Knight takes E6. Wow. That's a nice tactic. Undermining E4. That's a beautiful move. Now he can play knight G4. Maybe, but it looks a little slow in that position. That'd be funny if he played this. Not enough, I suspect. Knight E6, pawn E6, and then bishop F6. And I win a pawn. I act first in this line. So bishop F6, bishop E4, and if bishop G5, we can just block with F4. That's a key idea. To watch that, you know, you got to have that defended, the diagonal there. If not for F4, I could be in trouble. Actually, this is not over, because, I mean, black can play back to E7, threatening bishop C5. But I guess I just walk away from that. At the very least, I could just walk off the diagonal, but not just any move. Not just any move here. Is that black's best line? I'm curious. No, bishop D4 right away. But white is a pawn up. Anyway, good game, Mr. Slow. I was surprised at how few mistakes I made, but it was just kind of lucky, you know. I mean, I don't create weaknesses, and I was lucky that F2 wasn't fatal. Alright guys, we got enough games, so we can't handle any more submissions. Mr. Bogey Knight. Mr. Slow, thanks for the donation, man. He donated a gift sub to the stream today. Guys, if you can, please. And why doesn't it show that, actually? It should. Alright. It will show. It will register soon. Please support the stream if you can. Subscribe and support the stream. Mr. Sohan, thanks for good games. I was happy you didn't beat me 4 times in a row. Then I would definitely have made you a VIP. But I know you don't want to be a VIP. We're not going to force you to be a VIP if you don't want to be. Next game is Bogey Night. Bogey Night. Where is my messages? We'll just do it this way. Bogey Night. And then we'll look. He's 12, 16. Bogey Night, are you really 12, 16 FIDE, or is that like a joke? Because I'm going to report you to FIDE for being underrated. There's no way he's 12, 16 FIDE. That's worse than the players from India, where everybody's like 1,000 points underrated. Bogey Night has to be at least like 1,700 FIDE. It's not a joke. My God, man, that's ridiculous. I mean, I guess you could get a rating like 5 years ago, not play, just get better, and you're 1200. I mean, that's what happens with people online. Or you just played one tournament and it's provisional. But I mean, it's criminal that you're 1200. Game for Thursday. That's how to beat the trashy London system. I played this guy and I'm pretty proud. Okay. I hate the London system. Teaches you to be robotic. Anyways, let's take a look at this game. I think the London system is great for total beginners. But let's not make YouTube videos about it. Alright. Ooh, wow. 5 inaccuracies for white. That looks weird. 5 inaccuracies, no mistakes, no blunders. But he got 45 cent upon loss. And Boogie Knight with 1 inaccuracy. Is your play good enough for playing chess almost 2 years? Are you kidding? This wouldn't be possible in the past. It definitely took me longer than that, B-Doc. You made good progress if you've only been playing for 2 years. Your performance rating in FIDE dates back to when I was not playing chess anymore. It's 1300. I mean, that's what happens. Like, there was this one girl from Mongolia who I played here in a rapid tournament whose FIDE rating was like 2390, 2400. And she played in a rapid tournament. Her rapid rating was like 1500. It was higher, I guess. It was like 1800, whatever. But I played her and she like entered the tournament with her rapid rating. So I get paired with this player who's actually the same rating or higher than me in standard. But it's like I'm playing them and I know that they're 1900, and I just like totally underestimated my opponent. All right, anyway, so let's check this out. Black is black and white is white. D4, D5, knight F3, knight F6. Oh, you meant performance. Well, that's how ratings are created, by performance ratings. Knight F6, bishop F4. Honestly, like Boogie Knight, I don't like this. The variation you played, it's not my favorite, but it's okay. I don't like the symmetrical so much. But actually, what you played here may be okay. You play accurately. Bishop E7. This is not a bad move. You got to follow up with B6 very quickly and try to get bishop B7 and control the E4 square. Make sure white's E4 is under control. The other option, this is interesting, is the Magnus Carlsen move, bishop D6. I thought Magnus had a game with black here. I don't understand. Like, I can't find it. Whenever I say, oh, I think Carlsen had a game here, it's never in there. He must have done it with the pawn on D7, actually. I'm thinking of a different position. I'm thinking of this. Sorry. Like D4, knight F6, knight F3, E6, bishop F4. Magnus must have done it in this position. Even there it doesn't show up. I don't know. That's weird. I keep trying to find that game, but I can't anymore. But bishop D6 is kind of weird. Okay, this isn't my favorite. You know, the classical move is C5. There's that line, C5, C3, knight C6, bishop D3, whatever, bishop D6, bishop G3. Do you guys know this? Castles, knight on BD2. I had a game with Kostic like this. Queen E2. Yeah, B6 though. This is the old school move. Queen E7. Queen E7. These are different lines. This is okay, but it's not very dynamic for black. So let's see. This looks okay. B6. I don't know why white needs to play c3, honestly. Does anybody understand why that's the most common move? I analyzed like 9 games. Duck. Duck, if you submit a game, it would be absolutely the last game that I'm going to do today. You might be able to squeeze one in, but I'm not guaranteeing it if the games are really long. But I'll try. I might need another beer at this rate. Man, these are going to be long. I got to move fast. Queen e2 looks like a decent move, but it's kind of early for that. He's trying to stop bishop a6, and the other reason for c3 is bishop a6, take queen a4 check. So this move is passive and lame, but white's idea is to prevent bishop a6 by chopping and then playing check with queen a4 and taking the knight on a6. But I like black's setup. It's not bad. It's passive, but okay. Queen e2. Alright, so what's the disadvantage of queen e2 versus c3? I don't see anything special we can do to take advantage of queen e2. You can play c5 if you want to. I mean, dude, playing the London system is like the oldest thing now in the world. Like, the last thing you want to do is like play the one thing that everyone knows. The worst thing you can do is get on the London system bandwagon when the whole world like is now extremely well practiced with how to play against the London system. It's like totally over. Eric Rosen needs to resign, and we'll have an impeachment process against the London system. It's just hopeless, man. Don't recommend people to play the London system at this point. Yeah, like 5 years ago, it's too late, to get on the bandwagon. By the way, it's totally over. Don't get on the bandwagon like 5 years late, like after everyone's like well prepared. So anyway, here, bishop b7, h3. H3 is a standard London system move. It's not clear to me that knight h5. It's not clear to me that knight h5 is a threat here. Magnus can play anything. So now black plays knight on bd7. The question is, what is black's plan? Nothing fun we can really do. Both sides seem to be waiting. Another extreme idea could be the Warnacki a5, but Korchnoi did this like in the Dutch and stuff, but I would suspect this is weakening and too extreme. Probably not correct to try to do bishop a6. Going too far with that idea to play for bishop a6. We're creating weaknesses in our position with a5. Just wanted to mention it. But I mean, the way he's delaying castling here, it's like white is going to do one of these crazy trying to castle queenside in the London, which is just lame. Okay, so black's set up very solid. Knight on bd2. Now c5, natural move, but I'm not sure we have to play c5. What else can we do? I like Dr. Tripchance, maybe something more fluid. Maybe a6 and just kind of wait on the c5. We can play a6. Looks like a decent move. But anyway, c5 seems okay. Ideally, when we play for c5, usually we have like knight on c6. So you castle. It's like he was waiting for you to castle. It's like, what is he afraid of something? I thought he's going to go crazy now. I mean, this is nuts. You know, like white, you'll see these people who are amateurs trying to castle queenside, like they're Jabava. It's really unsound. Because black has excellent control of e4 here. You can lob a knight in e4 as well. If he tries to go postal on you, some sort of g4, just stick your knight on e4. White doesn't have an attack in this position. He just committed suicide on the queen side. No, this position is equal. Look at the score. Very solid for black. Castles. But this move, you know, it's considered to be a positional mistake in a lot of situations. You normally don't want to do this because you're going to make it such that white can play e4. If white gets an e4, you're going to be sorry that you played c4. The question is, what should black do in this relatively boring position? So, Lars lost against Lasnica. I would expect knight e4 would be a common move. Polish Grandmaster played this. Nidich played this. You're building up an outpost on e4, maybe even f5. Keep in mind, he can't take because of the pawn fork. And giving up his bishop is bad too, because then your white square bishop will be potentially very, very strong. The question is how we would follow this up. Like rook d1, Magnus, and then what do you play? See, white won 4 games after f5. So I asked the question, if we play knight e4, what the f is our plan here for black? What is black's plan? If it's not f5, I want to know what white's plan is. I mean, excuse me, I want to know what black's plan is in this position. Because f5 is like the only natural move in the world. And they all lost. Maybe it's just a coincidence. I think f5 is probably okay, and it's just bad luck that black lost all 4 games here. You know? It's probably a reasonable position for both sides. But I don't have an alternate plan. Like, what is my alternate plan? Just trading knights and offering draw. I would just like be like, hey, draw? I don't know who Jakub Bela is. They must be like Slovakian or something. So knight takes d2. This is the alternative. Trading knights and offering a draw. That's kind of lame, honestly. Let's see what the oracle says. Like, white's better after knight d2. The oracle says to play a5. Just randomly grabbing space. There you go, Warnaki. The random a5. Man, some 2300 player got a win against Piarun. Would this move a5? Was he using an engine? That's suspicious. A 2300 knocks off 2600 Piarun with the computer move a5. a5, a4. This is probably like the Polish team championship or something. How does a 2600 play a 2300? Black played very logically though. Bishop c6. And now he just traded knights. And this is surrender. You guys surrender in blackjack? Different schools of thought. I was taught it's not good to surrender. Nakamura plays queen c8 and trades the bishops. Now there's an idea. Queen c8 we hadn't thought of. Yeah, queen c8 is reasonable. White will probably like change files here at some point. But this guy got lucky to beat Pirun. He was slightly worse. And trading his mighty knight on d2 probably wasn't a big deal. White almost surely overpressed. But alright, we'll see what black did here. I mean, c4, I'm not on board with this. I'm afraid of e4. Rubinstein has a lot of games where white dominated. So, there you are. Bang. Oh, no. That's not the right idea. It looks like white needs to play e4. Norbert Bodo lost. Bela. Bela is common. I don't know a Jakob Bela. But I know who Norbert Bodo is. Solid player. But this is back in 1995. But 95 isn't the right idea. When black plays c4, you have to crack the center. The point is, like, when you play c4, you're taking pressure off his center. I can't use these arrows properly. The problem with c4, you're taking the pressure off his center, so he can play e4. The problem is, you know, it's a question of how strong e4 is. I remember another student I had, he had a game where he lost against the grandmaster from Brazil in a simul. The Brazilian grandmaster, now the name escapes me, played similarly to this with black. He was able to, like, use the d5 square for his knight or something. I still don't buy it, though. You know, it just doesn't seem right. I guess it's okay for you. But if white doesn't do e4, he's just going to face this minority attack problem with the pawn on c3. Another question is whether or not white should play a3. If a3, a5, and you're coming down with b4. But I think white needs to play e4. So what would happen after e4? Do you go b4 or do you take? The Brazilian grandmaster played something similar to this with black and then used the d5 square for his pieces. But I mean, you know, theoretically, I just don't think black can be better. At most equal. Well, a3 may be more than a waste of move. It might actually be weakening white on his weaker side. You know, that's the general idea. It's possible that a3 actually plays on black side of the board and will ultimately create more weaknesses. You're weakening b3. You know? So anyways, I feel like he makes a mistake here. This is not the right plan for this position, to play knight e5. He's not threatening anything. He wants to try to do like a stonewall attack with f4, a closed position type of attack. But you know, you're coming with this queenside play. I think you should think about b4 right away, creating a weakness on c3. Pewter doesn't like it. The pewter. Pewter doesn't like my b4 suggestion. But I'm not in love with the other guy's move. What's the point of a5? You want to take back, it's slow. I would prefer to play b4. There's nothing wrong with your move, though, knight e5. Now, bishop takes e5 is obviously safer. White decided to play the Yababa move. Computer likes it, though. Every time you move a pawn, you create more weaknesses. This is a way more risky move than taking with the bishop by white. The pawn on e5 can be weak. You have the possibility, imagine, if you're white here, you know, you don't want to see like d4 and the diagonal of death opens up. But the theoretical possibility exists now. See, that's what you got to think about when you have a pawn structure transition like this. Yes, maybe it's not possible tactically, but there's a theoretical possibility that you die on the long diagonal because black can open that up. So it's a risky move to take with the pawn for three reasons, right? The long diagonal, the fact the pawn itself might get weak, and the fact that the bishop is blocked by that pawn on e5. But white is trying to play for a win. I mean, this is a much safer move for him here. This is the standard recapture. All right, take with the pawn, and then knight e4, and that's not forced. You obviously can play knight d7. There's a famous game, Rubinstein versus Dosudmirsky, where this basic thing happened. I highly recommend, if you want to be good at chess, you study the games of Akiba Rubinstein. He was one of the greatest players of all time, one of my probably 5 favorite players. Even though I hate the London system, Rubinstein played the London system among other things. So this one game with Dosudmirsky, he tried, black was Dosudmirsky, this like kind of very strong coffee house style master. He played like knight d7, knight c5, and then was getting these squares. I mean, that's a very typical response. So I had a question. Andre Toft says, keep up the good work. One question, what rating should you start to go into deep opening theory? Well, I mean, I don't think that, deep opening theory should be a consideration below like 1800. I'll give you an example before I go on. You know, I was playing in a tournament like 3 years ago. I played a little kid. It was clear that his trainers had made him memorize like all the theory of the major like openings, 20 moves deep. I learned this the hard way in a game with him, but I mean, it was like he catches me in some position where I was in an inferior position and lost because he had memorized the opening. Then he couldn't calculate like a 2-move combination. So that's the point. I mean, if you know 20 moves of theory, but you can't, perform basic functions like calculating a 2-move combination. I mean, he was 2100 FIDE and literally couldn't finish me off in a winning position. But he knew like all the theory 20 moves deep of every variation of the Sicilian. Why was this the case? Because his coaches were bad. These coaches weren't qualified. All they could do was like teach him to memorize opening moves. Probably not, and that was a 2100, but I mean, definitely not before your 1800. There were some players like Kamsky and Andreev who were grandmaster strength before they learned deep opening theory. I mean, I kind of like think that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but seriously, openings are overrated, huge. You need to understand the principles. I recommend understanding the principles of the opening. There's a very good book called Modern Chess Opening Theory, but you can't buy it like new. You'd have to find a used copy somewhere. But I think that book is excellent. It's by Alexei Swaytin, the Soviet grandmaster. It teaches you opening theory without making you memorize the ideas behind the opening, the principles behind the opening. There's a kind of void, in teaching chess. Just a book that teaches you about opening principles. That's all you need. You really see most people overestimating the importance of the opening. All right. So knight e4, knight d7 is more combative. This move shuts down his attack, though. And this is important if you think about the London system. What I like about Bogey Knight's approach was he understood the basic idea. This entire setup with bishop e7, bishop b7 is to block this. The blocker threat with knight e4. This is stopping his Stonewall attack, style attack against the king side. Now, what I'm wondering is, if white does this, kind of like take, can I get a rook on d3? Because if I can get that, rook d3, like Evans, Reshevsky, I'm wondering if we have chances to do like a positional exchange sacrifice for black by placing a rook on that square. So like here, just hypothetically, if you have an opponent who's passive, let's say rook d2, rook d8, rook d1, and then little kids like trade all the rooks and draw here. But this is like deep, man. Rook d3. This was used in many games. I beat Ishvan Amashi, the brother of the Grandmaster, once with a similar exchange sack. You also see this idea in Botvinnik's play. I mean, this is like crushing. Only black can probably win after rook d3. Yes, rook d4 for white. Like maybe white goes first. Let's be smart. You know, can we play rook d6? I shouldn't be so biased. Maybe white has a rook exchange sack or something like that. Maybe here, as you're saying. But obviously after rook d4, bishop c5, and now it's like roles are reversed. It's interesting. I'm not sure. But I think that this move is a better winning chance. How strong is e4 though? See, this is the problem with Boogie Knight's knight d7 or Dosudmirsky or whatever. If e4 is strong, then we had to play knight e4. Maybe we don't give another chance, but I'm not sure. Like, this actually looks pretty good. Like, we don't have a problem here. We're actually crushing. So, I don't know. White probably can't play e4. Or it's not that effective. What about a kingside attack for white? Can white get a kingside attack going quickly after, like, queen g4, king h8? Based on the pawn being on e5. Maybe knight e4 was weak. I don't know. Knight d7, queen g4, king h8. Do you have a problem here? Computer thinks that white is better. Knight f3 and knight g5. So maybe knight e4 was right. You have to judge this. I'm not a computer, but all I know is it's a very important decision point where you decide to go with this knight, and you should probably have that figured out before you play knight takes e5. But I still think that knight e5 is not the only move, but logical. You know, as I pointed out, this is possible, b4. So, your knight is secure now. He's headed for this. Interesting decision by white. Like, maybe he's got f3 in mind. So he's not going to avoid attacking, but he's going to play knight d4, post his knight up, and then play f3. You know, is a5 too slow? And is it necessary? The point is, if you play b4, I guess he just takes it. Now taking is like AB, so you're probably right. And now f3, what do we do? Sacking a piece is possible. Pawn takes c3, pawn takes c4, pawn takes b2, but it looks over the top. a5 is always necessary, I don't know. I don't play this kind of position. It feels like it's out of my control. It's a little like a classical King's Indian. I don't like positions that I don't have control of. It feels like the fates will decide like who's better here. And I really am just rolling the dice. Whose attack is faster on the which side? You clearly got a domination of d3 now. And you've got the knight d3. This is brutal, dude. Another idea would be like sack the exchange. But it's not really necessary. Okay, here, here, here. This is over. Yeah, I mean, if you play many games like this, people are going to be accusing you of being a computer. You just mauled this guy so bad. At the end, he didn't know where he was. He also played, according to the engine, like very few inaccuracies, or just small inaccuracies. This pawn looks very strong. I would have been paranoid, but I guess there's nothing here for white. Bishop h6, knight f5. It's too slow. If bishop h6, just bishop f8. It's a perfect game by black. And then you pick off the rook. I mean, the opening wasn't crushing, but you really handled the late middle game well. Very good game. White didn't really have a plan. You countered his London system there. But he's just not as strong a player, I would say, as you. I'm getting a challenge here, 3+0. Anyway, I said a lot, but I didn't really show anything. Astrobate, what's up? Guys, please support the stream. Taking donations. Put some money in the pan on your way out. Alright, we've got Astrobate up next. I talked a lot. I like to see the London lose. Yeah. It's a boring opening, man. You should be ashamed of yourself playing that every game. I mean, I've played it on a couple of occasions, but here and there. Oh no, Astrobate, where's your submission? Can you send it to me again? I must have deleted it by mistake. Astrobate, can you send me the game again? I know this is inconvenient. I accidentally deleted your message. Can we get it? Try again. Just take a moment to get him to refresh that. My bad, man. I apparently deleted our messages. I'm getting this repeated challenge. No. Astrobate, you got it? Guys, come on, we have limited time. Hurry it up. 7:45. Don't forget to subscribe. Welcome everyone to the stream. International Master William Pascal. We are going over serious games here. Hopefully we can learn something. But this is not for people who don't want to learn. So you're in the wrong place if you don't want to learn. Get out of here. If you're not serious about learning chess, get the F out of here. Is that it? That just appeared. Blitz Chess Oaksum versus Astrobate. Thanks for sending that along again. Alright, it's always entertaining to check out Astrobate's play. E4, C5, Knight C3, G6. Now, Antonio Morales, of all people, shows up just as we get to see how to handle the black side of Knight C3. What level is this channel before? Well, there are really very few beginners that gravitate toward my channel. And that's not necessary. It doesn't have to be like that. But I'm definitely not watering things down. I try to teach to a more advanced level. But that doesn't mean you can't learn. Even if you're like 1,000 rated, you can still learn. Even if I'm teaching kind of advanced concepts. G6 is good. White has a couple interesting moves here. D4 and H4. So the real question is G6 is a little risky. I normally don't do that. I recommend playing Knight C6, Astrobate. Getting that really strong control of D4. If White doesn't want to play D4, we want to double down and just take control of that square. What are you saying, Antonio, with F5? You mean F4? Are you joking? You mean F4 so early? F4, standard move. Now Astrobate plays Knight C6. I like Bishop G7 a bit better, but it probably doesn't matter. Oh man, F5 right away. Yeah, that's usually only played after Bishop C4. So standard variation is Bishop C4, E6, F5. It's not a good line for White, but it's been around since the 80s. This was like the classic sort of Mark Hebden 1980s English chess weekend circuit opening. I actually had a roommate who used to play like e5, which is even worse. He loved to play e5, but this just lets you like crack his structure with d6. They're both bad. Like either of these pawn moves is really like objectively premature. Well, no, I mean, the fact of the matter is like bishop e5 is just a better move than bishop c4. If black plays d6 early, then bishop c4 is better. But in the 80s, they didn't realize that yet. You know, cognoscenti didn't know. This isn't a good line. Bishop c4 is like the favorite move of Hikaru's stepdad, Sunil Weremetri, who was playing a lot in the late 70s and 80s. I remember I beat Sunil once in this. He still just insisted on playing it into the 90s. But, you see, Hikaru even plays it, because his stepdad played it all his life. Bishop e4 is better. Bishop b5 is better than bishop c4. But we have another move here, f5. Okay, interesting. So Mészáros András, who I lost to in a nice game a couple years ago, he's an IM. He has a game here against the very solid Kishpal. I mean, f5 is not really correct. Hiraku. I'm really dyslexic. Yeah, Hikaru has a stepdad. He was like a real dad. I mean, he was raised by his mom and his stepdad pretty much most of his whole life. Yeah, he's the reason why he's into chess, man. I mean, his stepdad is a master. He's a chess coach. And he's really the reason why Hikaru even plays chess. But f5 is really early. I wonder what black should play. No, I've never faced this. My suspicion is, I guess, like d6. I would think you'd want to bring the pressure on and develop. So Kishpa also played e6 like Asterbate. Did Asterbate play e6? No. I'm looking at Kishpa. Kishpa played e6. I'm not sure e6 is the best move. No, I think that d6 is interesting. Someone didn't say that. You didn't just suggest bishop takes c3. You know, it's ironic that you say that, Warnaki. That's why I lost to Mészáros András. It was symmetrical English, but I played bishop takes knight on c3. He handled that position really, really well, so this is probably not a good move to play in any case, but definitely not for princess chess, and definitely not against international master Mészáros, who seems to play better when people like give up their bishops on c3. It was a season in a team championship. I play in 2 leagues, like the Hungarian team championship and the Budapest team championship, and I had played like 15 games without a loss. I think I had played like 2 seasons without a loss when I lost this game. It was really, really painful. No, of course you don't play bishop takes c3. It would have to be a special position. This is interesting, taking, but it doesn't develop. I had a game against Dr. Tripchans where I did a similar thing, but I think it's also dodgy. I suspect d6. d6 is okay. The computer likes g takes f6, interestingly. And Asterbate's move, which is solid. That actually looks scary because of e5, but I guess the pawn's just overextended after knight to g4. So I like knight f6, Asterbate. The knight is outside of the pawn chain though, and it's possible you get attacked by e5. You have to be careful. I don't like Kishpa's move though. It's almost like he's hoping that white will like transpose back into theory. You know, that seems weird. Of course, it's a weird position. I can't blame him entirely for playing this. But I doubt bishop c4 is like white's best move. And I wouldn't even want to give white a chance. Why would you give white a chance? It doesn't make sense. Like, f5 is clearly incorrect. Why give him a chance to transpose back into theory with that? That's stupid. Kishpa was confused. Knight f6. Okay, so here we go. Knight f6. e5 is weak. So white should just keep the tension here with something like d3. d3. But that blocks your bishop in. Alright. Then bishop c4. I think the bishop c4. You just keep playing on a theme. If you don't react aggressively enough, this will transpose back into some sort of theory. Morales, come on. Knight e4 is a nice idea, I agree, but this looks like a dangerous, very dangerous situation. Look at Morales suggesting the knight e4. I mean, it's not exactly like the standard situation with that F file open here. I'm a little concerned that there could be actual danger after something like this. Princess Chess, you missed a chance to play bishop takes c3, your favorite move. Bishop takes knight. I was joking around. I mean, white can play that. Okay, f takes g6 check, h takes g, knight e4, d5. But it's not very convincing. I agree, Morales might be right. It's still a good position for black. Bishop pair. King is relatively safe here, believe it or not. So you're right. Bishop knight e4 is a move. I would have felt it was risky. Maybe this. Maybe this here. Let's try to do the exchange of pawns. What about this kind of line? Like takes d5, bishop d3. Now you've got to consider c4. c4 is strong. It's possible you have that in-between move. Black's like totally taking over. Wow. Alright. So bishop c4 is slow, but it's probably the best move. He takes here. So white's achieved opening the f file, but the exchange on g6 helps black. Now his bishop's blocked in. Wow, Asterbait with the engine move. Damn, dude. This is the second time I've seen a recent game where Asterbait broke with d5 in a Sicilian type position. This looks strong, actually. What's he gonna do? Bang, game over. e5's gone. It's just losing that pawn. It's gone, it's over. Wow. He just leaves the knight on g4. Obviously, there's a little problem there. Yeah, white played badly, but very, very correct response by black. And now this. Asteroid loves himself a fishing pole. Unfortunately, I don't see a mate here. You can make me a mate. Asteroid, if queen d6 is the #1 move, I think you're probably an engine. Damn, dude. You're lucky. Ooh, it's the #1 move. Asteroid, you sure you're not a computer? I mean, most people just would have contented themselves with knight f2. But Astrobate goes with queen d6, playing for the forced mate. Ugh. Oh my god. It's mate. Knight e4. He missed knight e4. I can't believe he played bishop f4. I was expecting the queen move. But that's technically good form. Classical chess argues for mate with the lowest form of material. The lowest life form. Always mate with the lowest life form. Bishop f4. Correct, man. Alright, well, it's been a long day. I'm kind of dyslexic. Astrobate's done. Then we got Cheesy Noob. Has anybody seen Cheesy Noob? He's here. Alright, good to see you. Cheesy Noob is up next. Cheesy Noob. It won't let me type Cheesy Noob. Somebody please donate, support the stream. We only have one gift sub today. Appreciate it. Any sort of support, a subscription. Never castle in Benoni, that was my comment. Okay, Bishop Power. Skill Cam, Candidate Master versus Cheesy Noob. Graphic violence. I wish I didn't have to see that graph. I'm gonna turn it off, man. I don't want to see that. Antonio says, got to go, feel free to avoid my sent game if other games are online. Yeah, we've got a lot of games. We might not have time. Boy. What do we got here? Hello, board. So... Dr. Chipchance, you had a game? Last week's game. We could put it in there. Dr. Chip, you want to do it? Yeah. We'll do it after this one. It's hard for me to keep track of stuff. So... I thought Astrobate was playing black for a minute. Cheesy Noob was playing the Benoni. I don't see any problem here. So Bishop d3 is the main move. I had a game the other day with 97 against somebody, which Kovalenko played against me. A lot of other people too. Alex Ivanov, Medved. I've had 4 games with white against grandmasters in that position. But with white, I would normally play Bishop d3 here and wait and see what black's going to do. Because you might play a normal Benoni. You might play like knight h6. You might play knight e7. There's like all these different moves that black can play. But knight f3 right away makes bishop g4 pin a possibility. I think that's relevant. That's why I think most people wouldn't gravitate toward an early knight f3. That's how I got in trouble the first time I played Alex Ivanov. He was able to play knight e7. And he eventually got a pin with bishop g4 that ensured he could trade pieces and have a lot of room for his pieces and stuff. The other thing is I'm not sure how good knight f3 is against f5 type of stuff, although there you've got knight g5. No, it's a move. As you can see, most people play knight e7 because they're trying to avoid, the main lines. I would think knight h6 would even be a move. Okay, here you did play knight e7. And so h4 is a move. I like that better with bishop on d3, I think. h3 looks like the safe move. Any other suggestions? I'm open to other suggestions. h3, h4. There's the lame bishop e2. Yeah, h4 is possible because of knight h7. I didn't pull a trigger against Kovalenko, which I really regret. Although I got an advantage against him. I was hesitant to play like the most aggressive way, but I think it's better to go here. I had a game with Medved where I did this. This is very, very dangerous. You know, I think this is probably White's best line. You play bishop d3, then h4. It's dubious for Black. But it's not easy. You know, I mean, White's not clear where White's going to put his king, probably on f1. So knight e7, h4 is just analysis. White played knight f3, knight e7, bishop e2. This is like really quiet play by White. Castles, castles. Now White plays h4. Whoa. So remember against Ivanov, I lost where I played something like castles. He just like took, we had this, and then eventually he did like bishop g4. I think I lost this kind of position. It was New Hampshire Open in the mid-90s. I was maybe 2300 max with White and I lost. It's interesting, like, trading these pieces. I would think like knight d2 would be a move. But the difference between this and normal Benoni is that Black has the ability to play for f5 at some point, which dynamizes the position. This strat of using this break at some point gives Black a little bit like additional possibilities. Yeah, I don't like allowing bishop g4. So h4, and now wow. Okay, this is a little bit too much. It looks like you should open the game. You should play pawn takes pawn on d5 and then decide what to do. Cheesy Noob needs to take on d5 and play bishop g4. I'm pretty sure. In that other line, like h6 was possible, but I'm afraid here you might get blown away. I mean, there's maybe a piece sack. I am not surprised by this. This looks extremely dangerous. I would be afraid to, in other words, I would be afraid to go into this. I would be afraid to play h6. So I would exchange on d5, and then probably after cd, bishop g4. Just like this guy did. This knight g5 is a good idea. There's a game here. Trading bishop for bishop, not bishop for knight. And the knight has that menacing square. It can fall back to h3, knight f4, if you play h6. But how does White recapture? See? He has to take with the queen. Now this file looks really suspicious. I wouldn't recommend like knight f5 or anything, but we have rook e8 type of ideas. Here Black played h6, but I'm not sure. We almost have tactics on the e file for Black here. I mean, how much threats does White actually have? Is he gonna just mate you? Like, how is the queen getting to h7 and giving mate? So I wonder how fast is Black's counterplay here. Can we do stuff like c4, knight d7, knight here, knight in there? Is White going to checkmate us? It's an interesting question. If you play like knight d7, like this guy played h6, What is white's worst damage he can do? How fast is white's attack here? Castle's queenside is always bad in Benoni. That was my note. If you check my message to Cheesy Noob, you never castle queenside with white in the Benoni. The first rule of chess. Dr. Trip Chance. I'd rather put my king on f1. Put the king on f1. There's no need to castle queenside. You're perfectly safe on f1. You're just as safe, let's put it this way, you're just as safe on f1 as you are on the queen side. I mean, I don't know. But this is interesting. I wonder if this is a mistake to play h6, like this guy did. I guess not, it slows him down, but I'm still a little worried about what we're going to do. What are we going to do when he plays h5? Maybe rook e8 or something? Rook e8 looks good. But after h5, you need a move here, and I'm afraid like g5 might be dangerous because of those sacks again. This is very dangerous. It's an interesting position, anyways. So Cheesy Noob didn't do it. He didn't do it. He played this. This looks crazy. f5 is really, really risky because of knight g5, knight e6, h5. You're really just taking your life in your hands here for black. h5 looks good. Now he could take with a knight. I guess that's not enough, though. This is a resolute decision. Now we're just, it's like a bad Dutch. We got really big problems on the weakness on this diagonal. But f5 is the real bad move. I don't know. You have to be super careful. Yeah, it looks like a horrible anti-Dutch. We're flattened here. This is super strong. I mean, even any move like bishop h6 is probably okay. This might be the one Benoni where white actually castles queenside. It's possible. No, I mean, trading off the bishop. That's the point. You know, bishop h6 is good. Plus 3. But watch what happens. He plays bishop g5. This bishop is still on board. Here, queen d2, very natural play, but as I said, you don't castle queenside in the Benoni. So white just doesn't finish him off. He castles queenside. Now I was thinking this already looks kind of problematic. But he plays a6. This is a little slow, and he has another chance. Like isn't it like game over after bishop h6? That has to be winning for white. This has to be winning. I mean, there's no way you're surviving. You have to play rook f7, but your position is done. And this has to be winning for white. But white hesitates. Queen f4. Okay. He's still alive. And then the unthinkable. Bishop e7. And now check this out. King f6. Fianchetto king on the long diagonal. Good game. This is why white never castles queenside in the Benoni. No, I'm just kidding. This didn't really go according to plan. I don't think this is correct, man. So obviously, almost everything wins for white in this position, but he doesn't seem to have a forced mate. He played, what? What did he play? Bishop d3? I guess that's alright. The problem is rook h8. But the bigger problem, if you think about it, is the fact that The dark square bishop is gone. Where's your dark square bishop, man? White is really hurting without the dark square bishop. So that's it. Now we have a problem. No more like mate on the H file. And my king can walk back here. So suddenly it's not so simple. And he's able to come back to E7. And walk back. It's like the Gingy Indian. Was bishop f6 better? This was actually better. Probably. In fact, could we play king f7? What does white do after king f7? You take here. This still looks a little sketchy, but I don't see a clear threat. It must be like just king f7. Black is alright. It's that diagonal. It's unbelievable. This is ridiculous. Knight f6. Here. Takes. Here. Takes. And white thinks he's winning, but he's not. After bishop f5. It's just ironic. I'm constantly criticizing Cheesy Noob for not respecting bishops, so he submitted this game with the killer bees. That's kind of an issue. Anyways, we can't teach Cheesy Noob to play correctly. We'll just have to find another way. Yeah, don't try to take this game too seriously. Alright, Dr. Tripchan submitted his game again. Oh, this is Dr. against Peter Swidler from an online simul. Swidler chooses to play e6. He does play e6 based main lines. Swidler usually plays like the Khan Sicilian with black. If given the opportunity, like knight f3, a6, he'll probably play. By the way, you should know, Dr. Tripchance, that the Grand Prix attack isn't considered very good against e6. I'm a little surprised to see you play this. We should probably play this variation. If you're gonna play f4, I might actually choose to play e6 myself. Schieberspieler, what's up? Sunday is the day. Join the Pandas on Mega Battle. Enter Schieber. Enter the dragon. You have to enter early this week, okay? 2 title players will bring out more support for our team on Sunday. You've entered, okay? Okay. Good job. Thank you. So it's a team battle on Sunday. Mega Streamer battle. Schieberspieler is going to play for our team this week. Maybe this is the week we win it. What do you guys think? Well, Dr. Chip, you're not too old. You're not too old to learn opening. It's not a big deal. Alright, e6 is a good line against the Grand Prix. There's another line here where you can play pawn takes pawn, but I guess that favors black, opening up the bishop's diagonal. But the real question is now, what does black do? Swidler should know theory here. So the main line is d takes e4. But obviously there's lots of possibilities. Black could even play like d4 going into a closed game. Knight f6 is unusual, it looks like. And your move looks natural. Check. Trading pieces. And now there's something with knight e5. But you didn't do that. Is brain dead? Bishop e5? Really? Well, Schieberspieler would definitely criticize it. That is the main move, according to the opening explorer. Computer says it's dubious. I know Schieberspieler's comment will be like, why are you trading off black's bishop on c8? But maybe you confuse it with another variation. What did Gawain Jones do? Maybe that should be your question. Gawain is like the best Grand Prix attack at the moment. The best Grand Prix attack player, I would say. So whatever he did. I'll have what he's having. He carries the torch for the Grand Prix attack players. This is a kind of French. So it's like a G3 French. Yeah, that makes sense. I remember once seeing Feugl, who was a very strong positional player. Igor did some bishop h3. I remember he crushed some strong player. Just when you expect white, Igor was an excellent King's Indian attack player, but when you expect white to go bishop g2, Igor just played like bishop h3 instead. Sort of trying to play for f5 or something weird like that. I thought it was pretty subtle, actually. It's like playing bishop a3 on the other side of the board, but it's not the only move. Like, let's see. Yeah, like this has been played in a few games. It's funny, there was a Khmelnytsky game there, who's a student of Igor. That's maybe not a coincidence. Did he play bishop h3? No, different position. Anyways. Alright. So we've got bishop e5 check, bishop d7, trading our... That's our bad bishop, it's okay. Now it's our good bishop. You're playing like Arthur Bisgeier. I've heard of Tom Dorsch, he was some national master. God, I played Arthur twice. We had a draw and I won, but he was getting up there when I beat him the last time. Yeah, I mean e5 feels wrong here. You're putting your pawns on dark squares after trading the white square bishops. He's got knight g8, right? 97. Todorov. He stopped by the stream a few times a while back. But, yeah, I mean, d3 looks like a normal move. I would play that. What's wrong with that? Alright, Schieberspieler, good luck with your exam. We'll see you on Sunday. Guys, please support the stream. We need your support. Subscribe and donate. Much appreciated. You're playing against Svidler. You know, if he trades queens, it's not the end of the world. It's a good question which way you would take here. But you played instead e5. Wow. So knight e5 is standard idea. So we have this is good. And now black is good. I like his game after this. Yeah, you misplayed this. Robert Thoma, not to be confused with Robert Torma. Knight c6, castles here. He could also play h5. That's standard kind of blockade idea. It seems like white should probably play knight e2. Yeah, this was weird. Kind of weird the way you played here. I don't I don't really like b3 and a4, but you're at least putting your pawns on the correct color. I'm not sure if that was your intention. You're creating weaknesses, but you're placing most of your pawn structure on the right color. h5 is classic. Wow, this is like an acerbate move. I can't believe you played a5 against Svidler. That seems like you're going like a little too far. Wow. The problem is the position is just really hard to open up. But can't he play like a6, maybe bishop e7, bishop d8, and pick off your a5 pawn? Wow, that's crazy. He goes for c4. He goes for c4 and the bishop c5 check, trying to mate you like cheapo style. Don't miss why c4. Well, I know why c4 has been played, man. I've checkmated people like that before. It's the classic, you know, c4 takes, bishop c5 check, king h1, knight g3 check, takes, and mate. The last time I tried to do that to somebody, they didn't fall for it. Yeah, I mean, everybody knows about that. That's no secret. I think it was Morales or one of these guys, one of our regular Grand Prix attack players. Maybe Aldous, though. But they just blocked it immediately. They did not fall for it. They never fall for it if you try to set up that mate. Nobody ever falls for it. Yeah, I mean, I would think you're in trouble here, but apparently you're okay. You're like hanging on by a thread. I mean, this a4, a5 was a crazy plan. You're barely able to stop that. I guess Svidler was probably pretty frustrated here. It looks like he's clearly better, but there's no way to make progress. So he plays bishop e7. I mean, he played like a model game, but now you've got counterplay, c5, and knight c5, and the bad bishop that could. I mean, if the queens were traded, Black had a king on d7, I think he would have a good chance of grinding you down. But Black's got to be careful. His king position is dodgy. That's the problem with this line. So he castles. Now h4 could be a weakness. Whoa. And you've got bishop e4 at the end, winning back the exchange. Unbelievable. And now it looks like White's overextended, but maybe it's not enough to lose. I mean, truthfully, you've played a5, e5, f4, d3, b3. Can you overextend any more? And the computer says it's still equal. That's very frustrating for Black. Yeah, I mean, he's probably in time pressure at this point, and he just couldn't beat you. So draw. Great game. Yeah, it looked very dodgy, though. Princess Chess is up next. I imagine Svidler was surprised that he was, like, losing the exchange back. But he's not an overtly tactical player. I mean, he's sort of similar to me in that I think more positionally based than tactic based. I'm not like saying I'm as good as Peter Svidler, but stylistically he's kind of middle of the road. More positional than tactical, I would think. Yeah, send a link if you want. Princess Chess is up. He's not the kind of player who plays for tactics, and I can imagine in a simul, like myself, Svidler's going to play. He's going to play based on strategy, not being able to calculate like tons of variations. He's not a computer style player. So he's going to miss tactics from time to time. Alright, Princess Chess is up next. Do we have that? Game submission. Almost embarrassed to share this game, which should make it fun to take part. To take apart, even. Yeah, you can send the similar reaction. Alright. Princess Chess is black here against Ed. Good luck, Ed. How strong is Ed? Ed is 1700 provisional. Is this like an over-the-board game? Clever. When I say over-the-board game, I meant, was it like a rated online game, Princess Chess? Or is this just like some random game? Is your opponent really 1700, is my question. E4, E5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, bishop c5, d3. Here, castles. I don't like h6, Princess Chess. What right do you have to play h6 with black on move 5? Let me just go further. Yeah, I mean, it's not usually good. I think we should welcome bishop g5. Actually, you play this opening with white as well. I can't believe you play h6. You should be ashamed of yourself. Look at those statistics. D6, 30% for white, 25 for black. 33 for white, 24 for black. 36, 27. 44, 21. Look at white's score after h6. I was talking about this book, Modern Chess Opening Theory, when one of the guests asked, like, should beginning level players study tons of opening theory? We don't need deep opening theory to understand that h6 is not a good move. We need principles. You are violating principle by playing h6. There is no justification for playing h6 for black on move 5. I mean, I realize that when I click the move, there's going to be a couple of grandmasters who played that move. But I don't understand, why. Bishop g5 is not dangerous. That's not really a problem. Alright, anyway, I made my point. Mamedyarov. Mamedyarov is not a normal player, though. Mamedyarov is not playing h6 to prevent bishop g5. He's playing h6 to play like g5 and go nuts and like try to checkmate people with unsound attacks. He is not a standard h6 player. Alright? So he doesn't count. Anand and Giri, what do they know? So h6 has its following. I don't like it. h6, alright. Waste of time. And now knight c3. I think knight c3 might be a particularly bad move against h6. It seems like our best plan should be to go straight up, normal, like c3 threatening d4, knight on bd2, knight f1, knight g3. Okay, knight c3, what does it do? You don't have bishop g5 anymore. It seems like without the canal variation, those kind of things like that, like what does knight c3 do? It's not like you have bishop g5, bishop f6. There was Capablanca played canal variation 100 years ago with white. Early bishop g5 traded off, play knight d5. It's like the first game in 500 master games of chess. But if white can't play bishop g5, then why put the knight on c3? I don't really get it. Like he wants to play knight a4 or something? Yeah. Can you play a6 or something tricky? Mamedyarov Fedoseev. But maybe we want to circumvent knight a4? So there's some opening subtleties here, Princess Chess, that are interesting. And I'm sure that's not why you submitted this game. But I find it very interesting. Is it right to play d6 and allow knight a4 or not? And white just doesn't do it. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, this is the only move to give white any kind of dynamism. Without that, I mean, what are we doing? Bishop e3. Yeah, I don't like bishop g4. This looks like a solid response. That's the principled 500 master games of chess. Rock solid, correct move. You play bishop e6, and you just hang out. But bishop g4, I don't know. What's our plan? Ugh, why did White play queen e2? Well, I mean, he has robbed himself of... Yeah, I guess bishop g4 is not that bad, but what happens if h3? I mean, shouldn't that be the question? Ask a stupid question, get a stupid answer, but like what? What's the point? What are you doing? Like bishop f3? Queen f3? Knight d4? What do you do? This? Do I take a chance and go back to d1 here with White? Probably not. We probably have to take it. White has a microscopic advantage. That seems like likely what would happen. Some kind of microscopic advantage. I also don't like bishop g4. This is a weird move. What's up with this? I'm sorry, I don't understand. Can you please explain it to me? Am I missing something here? He takes, you take. White plays h3. Then you grunt and play like this. The take, and like... This looks kind of drawish. I know I've been criticizing you for playing bishop takes c3 a lot, but this position is probably justified. It's interesting. I mean, maybe the bishop's better than the knight. I don't know. There's chances for f4, f5 for White. The computer claims that black is better here. I mean, that seems like a little bit of an exaggeration. I don't know that I can call black better in this position. I mean, it seems like this diagonal is still dangerous. There's the f4 break. So what? White has doubled pawns. Not such a big deal. No, I mean, queen e2 looks weird. You just hesitated. Now he plays h3. And now you play bishop h5 when this is like safe. You really are risking it by playing bishop h5. It's an aggressive move. I mean, you're going to sack a piece here after g4. I think you have to sack a piece if it works. Knight g4, hg4, bishop g4. I mean, but maybe it's just not enough. Yeah, queen e2 is not so stupid. I mean, White is playing like, well, that idea is known. But usually in positions where you can play like knight d1, knight e3, you're freeing the d1 square, you know, for this. But with the bishop on e3, yeah, I mean, he can still profit from it, but it's not so easy. It doesn't work because of this? Are you sure? What do you mean it doesn't work? The computer says it's sound. It seems like it's critical. You did it. Knight g4. There's a hole here. hg4, bishop g4. Oh, really? So he can take here? And break the pin with queen e3. Yeah, you're asking too much, I guess. You know, realistically, with bishop h5. You're asking too much. I like it. It's ambitious. It almost works, and you should have calculated it. But after this, it's just not enough. Yeah, I wasn't sure, honestly. I don't think it's that easy to tell. You really need to spend some time to calculate. But it's like, why do you deserve that winning position? I mean, you know, white didn't make that many mistakes that he should be lost. But this is obviously ugly. Like, if you have to play bishop g6, I'm not liking that. So I like your intuition in making the sacrifice. You know, I don't think that you want your bishop on g6. This is not a situation we enjoy. And your bishop sucks. So it was a nice try. You know, it didn't work. So your calculation was wrong. But the spirit of the thing was right. You didn't want to get your bishop stuck on g6. But don't play bishop g4, you know, is the moral of the story. But he played king g2. Unbelievable this happened. Wow. That's what I expected. But the computer, you know, it requires like an engine to find this, what like king h8 and f5 or something. What about this? Even here, you would be in the twilight zone. We play f5, two pieces down. No time for taking on c5. You have to play f5 now. That's an insane variation. That's cool. I like this. King h8 with the idea of f5. Double piece sack. Take care, Dr. Tripchance. Thanks for joining us. So that's very cool. It's inspiring. More fee style play. You're obviously walking to knight d5 here. Princess Chess, I know you're capable of good calculation. So I think you're guilty of not calculating. You know, or maybe you just like gave up on yourself psychologically. I would have thought the second choice is knight d4. Even if you don't see king h8, you got to at least analyze this, right? So take, bishop takes, knight d5, and then maybe some sort of c6. It's too slow. It does look too slow. So queen f6, knight d5. Well, do we have queen g6? Nice try. I was worried about knight h4. That's a cool variation. Knight h4 is like the 5th best move for white or something, but it's playable. Alright, if our 5th best move is playable, we're in good shape. Wow. More fee style. Rook h1. Now obviously Princess Chess not using an engine. King h7. I'm going to turn off the engine here. You got to admit, like, bishop e5 is, what is white thinking? Your king is about to get mated. You're in this really hot g file, and all of a sudden white's just like, oh, I think I'm going to play bishop b5. It's like, what? I'm sorry? Did you sit down at the wrong board? The game is over here. What are you doing? How can this guy play bishop b5? What kind of move is that? It can't even be a mouse slip. It's unbelievable. The bishop is on this diagonal here, like preventing you from playing f5. He plays bishop to b5? Dude, that's insane. Like, this is obviously a normal move. This is a normal move. But bishop b5, who has time for that? And you played rook e8. And you have 14 minutes here? Now, he's trying for a cheapo with the 97 check. What if you play like king h8? Or king h8, king h7? King h7 is knight g5 chess, so king h8. Okay, your move is alright. Rook e8. It's like Cheesy Noob. I want Cheesy Noob to arrange a match with your opponent. That's gotta be a mouse slip, man. Nobody plays king g3. This is ridiculous. White played king to g3. That's like, I'll bet you $10,000 you can't beat me if I play king g3. Wow. Bijak, I'm not sure what you're talking about with taking the bishop. Do you mean bishop takes e3? I don't see how it ever really favored either side. I think this is a mouse slip. He was reaching for like the king and accidentally pressed g3. There's no way he intended to play king g3. Yeah, I don't see a mate, frankly. I would have been freaking out. But f5 is the natural plan anyway. That has to be a good move. And now you gotta have something here. You recaptured. You guys both need to focus on the other side. You got way too much time here. Okay, streaming isn't easy. You're probably paying attention to other stuff. And now you got takes and knight at knight d4. Wow. So you missed this. That's crazy. You missed this in knight d4. Now you see, streaming isn't easy. Nice job though. Alright. Well, it was an inspired piece sacrifice. Guys, I don't know if we're going to get to all the games today. We got a murder of games. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Warnaki's up next. I'm almost out of time. Come on. I'm not sure. Alright, Warnaki. Guys, we got to go through these games more quickly. We're taking too much time. Where's Warnaki? Sia, Bulldog Ujevet. He's speaking Hungarian. At the beginning of the year, I had this game. I'm not sure I'm psychologically ready to play it opening. Since my middle game is still very weak. Maybe there's something interesting to say about it. You tell me. Okay. So, thank you, Princess Chess. Interesting game, though. It was fun. You're actually playing those kind of lines with white, though. You should know what you're doing there. Bishop g4 is sus. You never play bishop g4 in the classical openings with black. It's your good B. e4, d6, knight f3. I like how the computer gave us a dubious. That's Acerbate's favorite move. Come on, guys, donate, support the stream. We need your support to make the stream great again. Don't forget to donate and subscribe. Please subscribe. The Wade defense is solid. Ask I am Wade. I haven't seen... I was at Wade's house once, checking out his library. He had an awesome chess library. Unbelievable. The second biggest in the world or something. He's a good friend of Jonathan Spielman, formerly number 4 in the world. Knight f3, bishop g4. Here we go again. No, here it's justified. Alright. We haven't played e5. I mean, that's the point. See, the idea of the Wade defense, unlike Princess Chess's bishop g4, is that we can morph these pawns to the e6 and d5. We don't have to necessarily play e5. Freedom of speech. I believe in freedom of speech. And Donald Trump can go out on his lawn and yell till the cows come home. Everything he wants. At his estate in Florida. He can just yell whatever he wants into the void of the universe. He's absolutely free to do that. Absolutely. Alright, what are we going to do? So e4, d6, knight f3, bishop g4, bishop e2. And now knight f6, putting pressure on this pawn. Castles. Just dropping a pawn. Just sacrificing a pawn for the open e-file. Wait, this is not the Petrov. If you didn't have a pawn in e7, I would think this would be an interesting pawn sacrifice. But here... Nah, this is totally unsound. That's not a pawn sacrifice, that's a piece sacrifice. Bishop e2. And then knight takes. Oh my god. He's got this. That's unbelievable. It does make sense. Look, he's got queen b5 check. That is mental. It doesn't make sense from a strategic standpoint. You know, white should just play some kind of normal move, probably, like rook e1. Developmentally, it doesn't really make sense. But on the other hand, you know, you will say there's one thing about this that does make sense. I mean, this bishop is bad. He's trading the bad bishop for the active bishop on g4. That's actually not a bad deal for white. What? I think that somebody missed something with d4. Queen b5 is, you don't kid me. Queen b5 is best. He had that. So we have various good moves. Knight c6, queen g5, we're up a pawn. That's messed up though. The engine claimed that this was plus 2.6 for black. Really? Like one pawn up is plus 2.6? That's kind of weird. It is exaggerating. Stockfish is exaggerating. It's saying 2.7. Why? Based on what? Queen b5 check, knight c6, queen g5. You're one pawn up. Why are you plus 1.9 even? I don't get it. That's like typical Stockfish. Like if you put this on Leela, it would never ever give white that big of an advantage. Leela chess would probably say half as much. Plus 1. Maybe like low ones for white, but definitely not 2 pawns up. That's a really exaggerated evaluation. Here, d4, no. Oh, no. I just realized you're attacking it with d4. Oh my god. So you have to play h6 here. Or f6. f6 is gross. I'm not playing f6 unless I have to. This looks very awkward. I don't like it. It looks like the best move is probably h6 with the idea of knight h7, which actually happens in the Nimzo classical sometimes. I would assume h6, queen b5 check, and you're good. That's a weird move to play, but it's actually very safe. Your knight's coming back here, and you're totally winning. That's funny. And you thought you defended your knight, but it's attacked twice. So you're still better. Now he has knight a3. And you've got d5, maybe. Another evaluation, which I don't like. I mean, why is white better by 0.5, by 5 pawns? I don't trust these evaluations. Is this like a Nokia or something? Really, white is better by 5? Your evaluations are off. Knight a3, f6, knight c6. I like the king in the center here. Either f7 or d7. Castle's queenside is okay. And then he's trading pieces and loses a piece. You missed b6 here. That's easy to see. There's no way you should miss that. But you didn't miss it the second time. And then it's over. Clear piece up. No questions. You do have a mighty bad bishop, but it's purely temporary. And it's over. Goodbye. So rook c8. Trade everything. Nothing to say though. That was a weird game. Weirdest game of the day. Easy technique now. Trading, not a good idea when you're down a piece, obviously. It's over. Alright, we're not key. Very strange game. Yabatis is up next. Guys, I gotta go, so these games have to be fast. It's been an exhausting day here at the office. Alright, Yabatis, quick run through. Yabatis is white. He's playing this weird stuff with knight c3. Black with a straight up fianchetto. So it's basically like a reverse or whatever symmetrical King's Indian. After e5 looks reasonable. It's a Farley game. This knight this way doesn't block the bishop. Basically a kind of Vienna game. So if you play bishop g5, he has bishop e6. But I think the idea of maybe changing pawn structures here, the way defense seems fine. I think bishop g5, bishop e6, pawn takes pawn, d4. That's exactly what happened in this game from 94. It's like a reverse g6 for Lopez or something weird like that. White's like playing like black, basically. It's a cool way to play. So if you take on d5, you give up the center, but you guarantee your bishop will be, not blocked in. This is weird queen e1 here. Kind of stodgy. I also don't like this queen facing off, potentially with a rook on e8. I wouldn't play that, though. I mean, rook e8 looks really solid. h6, preventing bishop g5, another good move. This disclosing in the center doesn't necessarily favor anybody. Weird, but possible. I'm worried about our c2. So c5, knight c6, knight b4. We have to watch. And bishop e6 kind of walks into this f5. He should definitely not take the time to do that. This is a bigger idea. Oh no. Yep. Yep. Like the Muppets. You just walked right into f5. The worst possible continuation. Knight fd7. Game over. Yabatis likes to share his amusing victories. G takes f5, E takes f5, bishop f5. So you've sacked a piece for 2 pawns and lost all control over the white squares. All in one go with black here. Nice job, Yabatis. Took him down. He has to defend. He doesn't. You'd think he would play knight d7 at least, like defending his knight on f6. But he doesn't even protect it. Now he can get pinned forever. Oops. If black could play knight d7, he could play queen b6 now and get out of the pin. That looks a little late. It's over. And the convenient purpose for knight d1 to take here. And the brutal and devastating queen f5, threatening mate in 1. Now if king g7, we have rook af1. But instead we have beautiful mate. Very cute. Thanks, Yabatis, for keeping it quick. And Tony submitted a game. Please don't ask me to join your club. I might have to block you. It's just really driving me crazy. And Tony, We haven't seen Antoni in a while on the stream live. Good to get a game from him. Oh no, it's a serious game. We're going to play through this quickly. If I'm still on time, I'd like to submit the game for tonight's game analysis. This is actually not late, but you don't have the game in there. Copy, tools, analysis board, paste, paste, import. Can you guys see this? The board looks crooked because it's in a. Why does this board look crooked? I'm using the examine board. Alright, so this is white. B-Jack is next. We're almost done for tonight, guys. I gotta go soon. We were looking at Slavs with Antoni. We saw a Kramnik game in the same variation. I don't really like E3. It's very quiet for white. E3 A6, interesting stuff. Knight C3, and now we looked at a game with Bishop F5, which is a weird waiting move. But now we get to see E6. No, so here it just doesn't look like white has any options. I mean, Bishop D3 is logical, Queen C2, or B3, that's about it. 3 moves. Okay, C5. That seems kind of weird, though. I like it better with the bishop on F4. I would think like bishop D3. Hasn't Svidler played this for black, like take and C5 or something? Everybody's played it. It's like a queen's gambit. Accepted. So B3 seems to be the main move. This is a Gelfand game with white. I mean, I don't know, but B6 seems weird. It seems weird to break against the strong point. If black could play for E5 instead, I would prefer that. Do we have to give up the structure? So B4, what happens? It's funny that like B4 hasn't been tried much. I mean, it's a very logical move. If B4, A5, B5, that's a Kramnik idea. And the queen's gambit declined usually. This is really interesting. So B4 only played in one game, although it is a rare position. I like B4 better. If we can do it. Is it possible for black to play like C5? That happens sometimes. Black doesn't always like recapture this pawn automatically in these kind of positions. Sometimes it's like a temporary pawn sacrifice. We get it back later. What about this? Knight A4. This is another interesting idea. It seems to be playable for black. It might even be the best move. Dude, I'm like a genius. I find the best move instantly. Without the help of the engine. This is probably an older game. The knight take seems particularly awkward. I like the knight like controlling these squares. Knight on B6 is weird. Here. Now C5. Even so, it's like I don't really understand what white has here. It doesn't look like white has any advantage. This is like a position I had against one of our players in the Tuesday Night Blitz tournament, where D4 was an Isolani, but black, you know, has no pressure on D4, particularly with this knight on B6 not going to C6. So how bad is that Isolani? Probably not that bad. The argument is that isolated pawn, a lot of people are biased against that, but black doesn't have any pressure on your Isolani here. So white's not really worse. But at the same time, I don't find white's position very inspiring. based on pawn structure. Black just has a better structure. And it's hard to find a plan for white. These pieces are misplaced. You know, I don't know. It's a little weird. So this is Gelfand Aronian. The bishop controlling e4 through the pawn. And it looks like Gelfand doesn't have anything. Ultimately, white maybe has a queenside majority now. He wants to trade the bishop off with bishop a6. It appeared. What is this about? Just keeping the bishop here. This is an aggressive move by black, weakening his position and playing dynamically with threats of f4. And white has apparently no entry points on the c file. I would think that black is better here. Man, it's close. The engine thinks that he's not better. It's difficult to find a plan for white. What is white's plan? Yeah, that hurts. I don't know what time control this game was played, but it hurts me, physically hurts me to like play knight takes d2, but he's threatening that. Yeah, Bijak, you're next. I hate playing knight takes d2, but it looks like it's the least awkward. Now this pawn is weak. Not a barn burner of a game. This was very positional. These guys are very, very solid, both. So white started to neutralize those two bishops. Look at those two bishops. Not doing a whole lot. So you're starting to like white better now. And then f4 happened, disturbing the equilibrium. Man, it's a good game. Very back and forth. And a huge pawn sacrifice now with e5. But look at those bishops. Aronian is like suddenly playing the Marshall Gambit with black. My god. Did white sign up to play the Marshall Gambit? Was that a good idea? Yeah, I mean, black's lucky he's not in a mating net. But there's no check on the back rank. And the bishop's on h5. It's got to be a draw. Alright, thanks for the sharing. Sharing is caring, Antony. Thank you for the game. I'm going to get onto this game with Bijak. And we got Umaher. There's an Umaher? That would be funny. No. That would be kind of a weird coincidence. There's Sumaher 7. Any relation to you? Sumaher and Sumaher 7. They skipped like 2 through 6. First game that you sent me, okay. The first one? FM, okay, this guy, this FM, who streams or whatever. He's a very... So he's an expert in self-promotion. Sumaher's opponent, it looks like. From what I've seen, I could learn something about self-promotion. Alright, we've got last game, Sumaher and Duck. c4, e6, knight c3, bishop b4, as I've played against you. Are you serious? Wait, didn't you play queen c2 against me? Did I play this against you? Did I play the Nimzo against you? I can't remember. I haven't had any of this lately against anybody. I like b6. What he did here is like rubbish. What is bishop takes c3? I don't think this is correct. If bishop takes c3 check was a good move, more people would play it. There must be something wrong with this. I can see it's been played by a few decent players, but not recommended. It must be slightly inaccurate to play bishop takes c3 check. You need an expert to understand why. I certainly wouldn't play it. I don't see the purpose of it. I really like b6. Happy to play those lines. Yeah, obviously you have a pin. No, alternatively you can play e3. I'm just trying to think. I mean, you might be able to go postal. If you want to dial up some sort of g4. It's possible to play like a complete maniac if you want to, but I you know, just for fun, g4. I have a feeling that you could probably play that, but it looks crazy. I'm not sure about queen c2 though. You know, I feel like queen c2 is a mistake here. It's slow. Well, bishop g5 is the solid move, no doubt. It's hard for him to get out of that pin. You know, even this is probably a weird move. I wonder. You might transpose back into some sort of theory. But I mean, h4 is a move. It's not that maniac. And I like the idea of this. Maybe. I've done worse. Yeah, it's unsound, but it's fun. We still have g4. My concern is your king position. You're well developed here. He's undoubled your pawns for you. I mean, what has he achieved here? What did he do with like c5 and cd4? You know, he's achieved nothing with that, undoubling your pawns. So I guess now b6 for black. He needs to try to play b6 and probably bishop e7 and then control this diagonal. But it's too late. I mean, it's already your move, e4. You're all over him. I mean, bishop d3. Maybe d6 now? He tried d5 like a French. That's interesting. He tried to stick his knight on e4. Wow. What if you played e5 and then on knight e4 play bishop d3? This actually looks pretty good. I think this is okay. But you're giving him your white squared bishop here. I doubt you can have anything after that. This is too important, the white squared bishop. So, sorry, I'm gonna jump back to where we left off. I don't like you giving away your bishop pair here. Didn't you do that against me? Wasn't there a game where you like traded both your bishops off? Do you remember? There was this one game where you lost against me and I said like both bishop exchanges for knights were mistakes. And here you're like doing it again. Definitely I don't like giving this bishop up. If you do give up a bishop, it should be your other bishop. So you like put pawns on dark squares and then after knight e4 you're going to win a pawn now. I mean, I guess he could sack a pawn, though. Maybe this is like a decent way for him to play. b6, bishop e4, pawn e4, queen e4, bishop e7, or something crazy like that. I don't know if it's sound or not. I mean, this could get out of control, like d5. Look at this position. You could have something crazy where the d5 is falling. This is a crazy position. I mean, look at knight g5. Like, you might be mating him with knight g5. Maybe you're still mating him here. That's just an analysis variation. But anyways, alright, so I don't like giving up the white scarred bishop for nothing. You're ahead in development, and I see this threat. Absolutely. He probably missed it. So knight d7 for black would give him knight f6 and some chance to protect his king side. I see this on the horizon, very serious threat. Knight g5 threatening mate on h7. So do you have it yet? Do you have it here? It's not going to work because of f5. Damn. Well, maybe. It's still, he could just like sort of sidestep the threat. This almost works for you, but it doesn't. Something like queen d6. Unfortunately, both his queen and his knight are hanging. You're real close to knight g5, though. Yeah, rook h3 is a normal attacking move, but he is e5. So I guess you just have to be rational here. You'll just have to be rational and make a sound move. You're all in a kind of anti-positional game with both rooks are off the board. Your king's in the center. You almost have something. He doesn't exchange queens. He might be able to hold that, but it looks pretty tough. But objectively, your structure is not great, this pawn. How bad is this ending? So he has chances to survive. I mean, it's kind of reckless to keep the queens on. You're the one that's threatening. I thought you had bishop h6, but rook e8. So this is a logical move. And now it's just over. It should be over. His king is super exposed here. You can block his bishop with d5. Now all your pieces are in the game. Yeah. So his king is done. Now you need a finishing move. I'm almost thinking like rook h3 might work. But I'm afraid you got bishop e5. Yeah, it's over. Good game. Alright guys, last game was Duck's game. Sack Duck. Actually, did Duck Sack never sent a game, right? Is he still here? If not, I'm going to pack it in. Magnus Chess, Trip Chance, Angelica, Asterbate, Tota, Angelica Morales, Sue Maher. I'm not sure. That might be the last game for today if he's not here. I didn't get another submission, and it's pretty late for me. So I'm going to pack it in, guys. Thanks, everybody, for your support. Guys, don't forget tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. we have Blitz challenges. You're welcome, Turkey Farm. I'm pretty tired. It's been a long day. Thursdays are a busy day for me. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Don't forget to support the stream. Subscribe. I hope that you got something out of it. I try to put my heart into all of our streams, and I really take the streaming seriously. Mr. Coffee, thank you for your support. Appreciate it, guys. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Thanks again. Bye-bye.